Afternoon, everybody. My name is Roger Bulter, and we have organized a webinar about the TU Eindhoven, or the Technical University Eindhoven, and how they replaced their legacy timetabling system with TimeEdit. But we have a few people on board today from TimeEdit and Edith from Singapore. So let me introduce them first one by one. So, well, Trevor is Chief Business Officer. Maybe Trevor, introduce yourself for a moment.
Hey everybody, thanks Robert Yon. Really appreciative of TimeEdit to host this webinar. And a big shout out to all our friends in Southeast Asia, and appreciative of your time. I know it's Christmas time and I think everybody is kind of clearing leave. So really appreciative of your time. And I believe that it would be very fruitful today. I think it's going to be a very interesting case study, about how another university has adopted TimeEdit as their system. And if you're here today, just would encourage you to ask questions or if you have any questions as TimeEdit is presenting this, we would love to hear from you. Thanks, RJ. Thanks.
Can you introduce Edmund as well, please?
Oh yeah, okay. Edmund's here also as well, but I guess he's not on the panelist front. Edmund is, of course, I'm sure some of you know him and have connected with him, and he's our go-to guy for following up with all our projects. And I must admit, there's a lot of interest coming in from Southeast Asia with with TimeEdit and what they can offer on the cloud, for timetabling. Thanks, RJ.
Good, wonderful. Then I will also introduce the rest of the team from TimeEdit. Richie Tay, he is the Business Development Manager for the ANZ region, and also from Sweden, our CEO, Johan Blomdahl, joined as well. So maybe a quick hello, Johan, from your side.
A quick hello, yeah. Hi, nice to see so many on the call, and really appreciative of your time as well. Just echoing what Trevor said. And so happy to do this together also with our partner in Singapore, our local partner Edit in Singapore. So we've been really happy about the interest that we have seen over the last couple of months. And I think that this is a great opportunity to learn more about how a TimeEdit implementation actually looks like from one of the best in the business, Bert. So really look forward to hear from him. And again, thank you all for joining here today.
Great, thank you. So this is today's agenda. So first, a short introduction who TimeEdit actually is, because there are a few people who do not know what TimeEdit is. Then that will be just a short moment. But most time we spent on the case study from Bert van Iersel from the Technical University of Eindhoven, and in the end we have some time left for questions and answers, and we have something else as well, a little quiz on the end, but that's on the very end of it. Good. So who is TimeEdit? So we are a scheduling and resource management company. Yeah, so we focus on the IHL predominantly. So we plan, schedule, and manage the academic resources. So we focus 100% on scheduling. So we don't do anything like, say, in a commercial world or whatever. We really focus on customer satisfaction, customer-centric development. And with that, we were, over 25 years, the market leader, or we still are the market leader in the Nordics, and the Nordics is in Europe. Our team is located in Gothenburg, Sweden, Utrecht, but also Melbourne since earlier this year. And we have also some locations in, for example, Norway. For people who don't know how our suite looks like, so we have basically 4 pillars, with solutions, which helps basically your whole scheduling process from the very beginning until the very end. So if we start at the beginning, yeah, we have over here the resource management, or the resource planning and demand management. So here we have TimeEdit plan, or TE plan. Yeah, so this is a specific solution where you can record what your teachers are doing for the number of teaching hours, the number of research hours, admin time, and so on. So you can create a balanced workload for each teaching staff member. Then here, this is a big thing nowadays, the TE preferences. This is a perfect solution where you can collect all your teaching information. On top of that, you also can collect your availability or unavailability of your staff members. So we can create a form, and through the form, people can submit that information. So you get rid of, for example, your Word and Excel documents. Then the second pillar here is, well, often also here we can call it also TE core. So the core of the whole system. So here is basically where the magic happens. So the scheduling. Yeah, so we do all this core scheduling in TE core. That works also together here with TE autopilot. Yeah, so that's predominantly done for the auto scheduling. And for the people who also want to do this, the scheduling of exams, yeah, then we have TE exams. And that's not just the scheduling, but also the management of the exams, such as the organization of the invigilators, organization of the student seatings, and other processes. If you have finished the timetable, then we have here the publishing part. So, but TE Viewer, you can view the timetable. And with TE Reserve, you can make additional bookings, such as, well, I want a particular room for studying, I want a particular room for a meeting, or I want to reserve a car park, I want to reserve a particular binocular because I'm going into the field. And then at the end here, we have the TE reporting for, yeah, more the analytical type of reports. To give you an overview who our clients are, so we have, well, over 175. This number is shooting up a lot. So I'm not getting or keeping track of it, but it might be around 180 right now. Here we have a few clients from over the world. Well, Karolinska Institute is, for example, the university that appoints the Nobel Prize laureate each year for the medicine. The KU Leuven is a top 40 best university in the world with 120,000 students, so very big. And here we have La Trobe University, that's our first client in Australia, so which we currently are implementing, and maybe a little bit more local for our Singapore guest, INSEAD, based also in Singapore. And of course, we have several other top universities and institutions. We have over 100 a million users in our system. So that's, we are quite happy with it. Over 15 partners and 300 different types of integrations. So integrations is a big thing for us. We're happy to do those to them. Well, I was already starting to brag about the student numbers in our system. So you can see that it, over the last few years, it really shooted up. So this year very little celebration, but yes, we celebrated that we reached the 1 million student target, Well, we reached that level. Another thing we are very proud of is basically our customer satisfaction, because, well, in the end, we do it for you. Yeah, so for example, here you can see the satisfaction score of 97.4. And if we compare that with in the market, that with just other software providers, that seems to be quite high. And still, we are not satisfied with that, so we want to go even higher. But to give you an example, so within 1 hour and 28 minutes, we want to give you, well, the first reaction. And we have a whole team basically ready for you to give you the best hands-on experience for the academic scheduling. Yeah, and of course we desire to solve anything, any situation. So no broken glass policy. So we don't want you to be an unhappy user. So that's really important. So partnership. Well, if you become a client with us, then of course, yes, we see that as a partnership. So we do it for the customer, with the customer, yeah, and to the customer. So for example, for the customer, so we come up with, or you can come up with a lot of enhancement requests, for example, and depending on your needs, yeah, we organize basically our product roadmap. We have product advisory boards where experts within a particular regional market are basically advising us what we need to develop, in what priority, and help us basically, well, giving the right information how something should look like. And of course, here as the third point, we organize a lot of different well, events, like a conference, like one-day sessions, but also things like today, a webinar. Well, that we do what we preach, yeah. So we really would like to get your input, and we are stimulating our clients to do so. So, and this is what you see an example of that. So every year at our conference, yeah, we award one or more clients for their feature requests. So these are, well, in this case, 3 different institutions, or actually 2 institutions and 1 user group, who basically submitted their feature request, and they won basically a prize for that. So we are in Asia for the long run. So although, well, but I will tell you a little bit about our journey. So first step we did earlier this year is getting basically infrastructure in place. So we got the cloud environments up and running. We got well, appointed editor in Singapore to support the Southeast Asia region. And we set up the Google and Amazon or AWS cloud environments. We built up well, a team with experts and leading well, experts in the field to support us. So in Australia, we have now 4 people working for us, and more are coming. We have 3 people in Singapore, yeah, and well, basically the whole Asian or APAC team is growing fast just to support the whole region here. Already mentioned, we established a product advisory board, and we also work with some partners. And then we have landed our first clients in Australia. So we are very happy with that, of course. So La Trobe is one of them, already mentioned that. TAFE SA is just announced a few weeks ago. And then we have a Sydney-based performing arts institution. They will start later next year. And we started already a few months ago in New Zealand with a big institution there. Maybe Trevor, can you talk about this, please?
Thanks, RJ. Oh, why don't we do this at the end? I think we're gonna okay. Cover some of the webinars. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, RJ.
Well, this then is a very short commercial. We come back to this, and basically we will organize a few more webinars for you. Good. Hopefully this was not too long for you. We go now forward to the case study from Bert van Iersel. Good. from the Technical University of Eindhoven. So TU Eindhoven, it's a public technical university based in the Netherlands, located on the south of the Netherlands, fifth largest city in the Netherlands, but also it's actually the center of the smartest region in the world. So because there are a lot of high-tech companies in that region. Well, probably a company that everybody knows is Philips. Yeah, that's Eindhoven is the city of Philips. Another maybe fun fact of this particular building you see on the image, it's one of the most sustainable educational buildings in the world. But a little bit more about the TU Eindhoven. It has about 15,000 students, 3,900 not students but staff members, and it's a top 200 university by several ranking agencies. And then let me introduce our guest for today, which is Bert van Iersel, project manager, over 20 years with experience in project management within ICT companies. And he joined the Technical University over 2 years ago. And he, I think it was responsible for managing the project to deploy TimeEdit and run also the tender. So Bert, I think I will hand it over to you now.
Yeah, let me request remote control from you so I can control the slides.
And you are go.
And while you're requesting remote control there, can I just also say that if you have any questions regarding TimeEdit, our product, or to Bert, please ask them, and you can use the chat function here in Zoom, and we will pick them up and address them.
Absolutely.
So if you have any questions, please just fire away.
Yep.
Thanks.
And based on the number of questions, I might be able to address them right away. Or if I'm not and the time has passed, then I'll sure to answer them later today or tomorrow. So you'll get feedback on each and every question that is asked.
Good.
And thank you, Robert-Jan, for introducing me, because I speak way too much about myself, so I don't need to introduce myself anymore. And let's just deep dive into our journey and what we experienced. You did give me remote control, didn't you? Oh, there we are.
Yep.
So the agenda for what I was trying to tell you, something about the tender, implementation, training, and questions. And while I was writing this agenda, I said, well, man, this is looking boring. I can't have 15 people invited in a webinar with such a boring agenda. So let's try and do it differently. A nicer sheet. Robert-Jan asked me to talk about our challenges and our lessons learned. And while I really want to do so, and if I'm talking about our challenges, you'll see the challenges ahead sign on the top left corner of your screen. But this is not the only thing I want to tell you, because if I'm in a webinar, I also want to tell about our journey, not only about the challenges. So if I'm telling something about the journey, these nice three folks with some graph will be on the top right corner of your screen. So you always know if I'm talking about challenges or just the journey itself. So part of the journey, how it all started, I joined Technical University of Eindhoven, and of course, at first they were looking at me like, who is this project manager? Can he do some serious stuff for us? So after I did manage a few small projects quite effectively, they said, well, we've got this extra project. And I said, okay, big project, what's the deadline? It's April 2021. And I don't know how scheduling works in Singapore, but in the European region, we want to start making the schedule of the new academic year in April. And if we can't start in April, the schedule isn't finished in the summer. If it isn't finished in the summer, students are unhappy because they don't know what to do after the summer and they don't know which classes to take. So this is not just a deadline, this is a really important deadline. And then I started calculating, if we want a new kind of software finished at April 2021, and we need to do a tender, and we need to do implementation, and we need to prepare stuff. Basically, within my calculations, we already should have started 2 months earlier. So that was quite a challenge. I'm going to show you how we met this challenge on my next sheets. There we go. So we split the project due to the strict deadline into 3 separate items. We had the tender, the implementation, and the optimization. And normally I would always do an optimization before I implement something. But in this case, due to the strict deadlines, we said, okay, let's just first implement it and see what we can improve afterwards. And why did we need a new application? For me, I did like 20 years of experience in IT. That's what Robert Jan said, but I have 2 years of experience with scheduling at universities. So the scheduling process was new to me, and I drafted a really high over process for it. So the schedulers would still recognize it and I wouldn't make any errors in it. So I said, we've got preference collection, we have scheduling, probably exam scheduling with some specifics in there. We have publishing of the schedule. And we also do scenario analysis. So like if we build a new building and we put some extra college rooms in there, what would the effect of the schedule be if we do that? And each block in the high over process that's red is where we experienced issues. So that's basically everywhere except for the publishing part. And that's something we did with a very small Dutch company who are really specialized in publishing. So we had some integrations with our old legacy system and their publishing software, and that's the only part we were happy about. So yeah, real serious need for a new application. So we started a tender, and then we said with some marketing and market analysis, does our dream software really exist, and how do we tender for it? So we said the core of scheduling that really needs to be good and great, but the preference collection could be done with other tools. The publishing, we already knew we could do that with other tools. Scenario analysis would be nice, but not a must-have. And same goes for exams. We have kind of the past 10 years, we did exam scheduling in our normal scheduling tool without any extras. And yeah, it's a hassle and it's a lot of extra Excel sheets, but we figured we can still manage this. So everything in green should be in the tender, and the blue parts were optional. So we did ask questions about it in our tendering process, but we always said this is an optional feature. You can score extra points if you have it. It's not guaranteed that we're going to use it or that you have to offer it to us. This is the planning we made in November 2019. When we set up the 3 phases in our project, and then you can see the implementation part. It goes a little bit beyond April 2021. It goes up until July 2021, and that's because we wanted to start scheduling in April, but we knew we wouldn't be finished by then, and we need to publish the schedule in June. So between April and June, there was still time to work on integration with the small Dutch company that did our publishing, or do some small other kinds of integrations that weren't required to start scheduling yet. So the implementation phase took a little bit longer than the first moment that we start scheduling. And then my fellow colleagues at the university, they said, if you use this picture with any kind of schedulers, and I'm hoping we have like 14 schedulers in this meeting, then you should say that these are normal years and not academic years. So people, please do mind, forgive me for my insolence, but these are normal years. Q4 is ending in December, in my opinion. And if I ask our schedulers, the first quarter starts in September. So a challenge that's part of our story, kind of a challenge and a story, the purchasing strategy. And I don't know, I don't hope we have any purchasers in here, but hey, as a project team, we said, hey, we want, and our purchasing advisor said, no, you can't do that. And then we said, okay, how about, and the answer was no. So when we started out with our own internal purchasing team, we had quite a few discussions, and there's quite a strict legislation in Europe about how to do tendering. And we really needed to find each other here. And there are two kinds of tenders. When the amount is above a certain grade, you need to do an open European tender. That was the case for our university. And there's still two options, the open procedure and the restricted procedure. And the restricted procedure has something we really like, that's pre-selection. You can, if you get 10 offers, you can strip them to the top 3 and then zoom in on the top 3 and make sure you can really test them, because we wanted the most user-friendly scheduling system there was. That's what our focus was, user-friendliness. Of course, you should be able to schedule with it. Shouldn't be a user-friendly system to do something different, but user-friendliness was really high on our agenda. But also we had strict deadlines. So the open procedure had a shorter lead time, but each and every offer we should get, we should test them. So there would be a risk of having 10 offers, and then we had to do lots of testing. We took that risk and we hoped we wouldn't get more than 4 offers. And in the end, we got 3. So we were happy and we were able to still test out the 3 best offers because we only had 3 offers. And what we mixed in our purchasing strategies was the strict deadlines, the optional parts, and the required parts of scheduling, and user experience, user experience, user experience, and user experience. We wanted to have the nicest user experience possible. So that's why TimeEdit won, and this is where the advertising starts on my part. We had 3 offers, and TimeEdit scored like anonymously the best on user experience, and with very much higher than the rest of the offers we had. And Robert-Jan already showed you the modules, and it's quite funny to see if we pick up on our high-level process that you can just plot their modules on our processes. So they said we can use TE Core for scheduling, TE Exam for your exams, a separate copy of TE Core for scenario analysis, and we can really easy copy our production and environment to the scenario environment if we want to. TE preferences for preference collection, and TE Viewer for publishing. John, any questions so far?
Yes, there's one question. What is your legacy system?
Our legacy system was called Syllabus from Scientia.
Okay, so, I think, yeah, no further questions. Oh.
Then this is the part about the tendering phase, and now I'm going to talk about the implementation phase of our project. So we made an implementation planning with normal years, not academic years, and we said in which phase do we want to implement TE Core. Like I said, April is somewhere at the end of quartile 1. But we still needed to do something after April 1st. So that's why this is a little bit beyond that. Then we decided to implement TE Viewer in the first year of usage only for our scheduling team and a few back office people. And we kept using the very small scheduling tool from the Dutch local company, because that made our project much easier, because this way there were no changes for students, no changes for staff, and we could focus on the technical replacement of the core scheduling engine with TE Core. And then in the next academic year, we're going to review which viewer we want to use. And TE Viewer is looking pretty good, so I think that's it's a good candidate. Then 3 TE preferences. In our opinion, we just wanted to have TE preference is part of the optimization phase for us. So after the implementation is done, we want to start with TE preferences, prepare it and use it in the next academic year. Same goes for TE Exam. So this year we are already using TE Core, and we're looking in optimization for next year for preferences and exam. And in our case, TE Reserve is a module that's just part of the license, and we've got it and we set it up, and we've made sure that it's working. But we also have some facility management software which offers the same functionality, and we weren't planning on replacing that. We do build some integrations between TimeEdit and this facility management software. So it doesn't really matter if we reserve your room in TE Reserve or in the facility management system. in the background, the room will be reserved in both systems. Then we had an implementation challenge because due to the corona, it's a worldwide pandemic. So I bet you guys suffer from it too. There was a very heavy workload on the scheduling team because the Dutch government was like, hey, you need to keep 1.5 meters distance, change your room capacity. But if you change the room capacity, you need to change the schedule. And then a few weeks later, they said, well, even though it fits in the room with 1.5 meters distance, you can't fit more than 75 people in one room, no matter how big it is. So the schedule needed to change again. And this was halfway our implementation project. So we needed to change the schedule many times over in our old system, but we also needed to adjust our design and setup of TimeEdit based on all kinds of corona needs. And because of this heavy workload on the scheduling team, my project executive asked me if I can do the implementation with a minimum 4 hours a week of the scheduling team involvement. And I stretched the planning up until April 1st, and I said, yeah, we're barely going to make it, but yeah, we're going to make it with minimum 4 hours of planning. In the end, our planners were so excited about TimeEdit and liked the system so much that I think the ones on my team spent like 8 hours a week on it, but they managed to do their other stuff too. And one small sheet about a Go Live challenge, just in case that there are some technical people in here. This is normally not what you do. Normally you create a testing environment, test in it, and then when you're happy about it, you're going to copy everything to production, and then you have your production environment, but then you have to do many checks while copying stuff to production just to see if everything's set up correctly. And what we did, we built our production environment, but used it to test TimeEdit. Once we were done testing, we just removed all reservations and used the same environment for training. And once we were done training, we just removed all reservations and the production environment was ready. And then around the time that we started training, we copied production to test and set up a test environment in which, of course, a few things went wrong and we needed to fix them, but they didn't mess up with our Go Live. So for us, this saved time too, and was really necessary to make it for the April 1st Go Live moment. Just a small tip for the technical people. Then we had a technical team, kind of a think tank, and we had the TimeEdit customer success manager in there. That's the one helping you with implementing TimeEdit. We had an external Dutch advisor in there with who knew the market very well and knew lots about scheduling. Omix is the Dutch local TimeEdit partner, so we had a Omix account manager in the think tank and me, and the four of us. Each time we met with challenges, or if we were afraid something went wrong, or we needed to think about something, the four of us came together and we had all kinds of great ideas and brainstorms on how to work better. And one of those I'm going to show you. It's the educational plan. It's way too much text in a slide for a webinar, I know, but it's an important one and I think you can learn from it. So I'm going to do it anyway. My wife works in marketing and communications. She always says, don't make these kind of sheets. There's much too much text in there. But you know, guys, you need to know. So what we did for the training challenge. First off, although TimeEdit was the most user-friendly software that we found in our tendering tool, it is different. And the project team, they did the tender, they looked at all the programs, they grew into it, and they said this kind of difference is better. But not everybody in the Netherlands thinks that different is always better. So we really felt like we need to convince them that this is a better way of difference. And we made a 10-minute video in which I interviewed my scheduling colleagues that are part of the project team. And it was like a first dates program. There's a program in the Netherlands, Belgium, I think it's in the UK too, where people meet each other for the first time while having a nice dinner and in the background, and then you hope they fall in love, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. In the end of the program, they always ask, do you want to go for a second date? So I did this interview with the first date logo behind us, and I edited the jingle in there. And in the end, after the interview, all my questions were, okay, the user interface is different, but what's most different part about it? And the way the program integrates with other programs at the university is different. How do you notice this? Those kind of questions. And in the end, I asked them, do you want to go on a second date with TimeEdit? And of course, they all said yes. So it was a really funny video. Hey, Robert-Jan, can you help me go back one slide? Because I think some of my old mouse clicks just came through. Thank you. So it was a real fun video, and it helped us with having the correct open mindset before the training even started. Then usually when the training starts, especially when it's online, like 10% of the class says, oh, sorry, I can't log in. My login isn't working. So we created another video of 1 minute with explanations on how to log in. And each student or each scheduler needed to look at that video and log in and send me an email. It worked. And of course, 3 of them sent me an email. It didn't work, so we fixed that. And then when we had the first real training session, the trainer said, hey, this never happened to me before, that there were no login issues. I asked, hey, did everybody log in? And everybody was like, yeah, we're already waiting, we're already logged in. So that really was really helpful to not waste time on login issues. And the final video we made was about the naming of parts of the screen. TimeEdit consists of 4 main parts in the screen. I'm not going into that now because this is not a demo, but it's nice to know these names because the trainer will refer to these parts of the screen by their name. And then it's nice, you know, so we made a video about it too. Then we set up the training itself in 3 sessions. The first session was just about making a single reservation. How do you select everything that you need? A teacher, a room, some detailed preferences, of course, a course and some course detailed information. How can you make a single reservation? That's the first training session, but we rarely make single reservations. We always make recurring reservations, like this same thing is happening 8 weeks in a row. So the second session was about recurring reservations. And based on those first 2 sessions, we basically covered everything we needed. But TimeEdit has a very tweakable user interface. You can really do some nice personalization and publication stuff with it. So the third session was the bonus session in which we taught everybody how to make their own personalized screens, maybe copy a central screen and personalize it. That's what we put in the third session. Of course, we did some aftercare. Yeah.
I have a question that's from Zhao Yang Li. Are there any particular challenges with the integrations with the existing systems, such as with the learning management system? And if yes, how did you resolve them?
Well, TimeEdit really has a great API for integrations. So we use that, and the challenges we had there were more with our the student information system. How to extract information from that system. That was has been a challenge, but how to insert this information in TimeEdit really wasn't a challenge at all. I had the documentation, and I'm not really good in integrations myself. Did some database stuff when I was young, but it's a long time ago. I just forwarded the documentation page to my integration team, and they said, oh yeah, we can work with this. So that went really well. And the stuff we had as issues with the API of our student information system, it just wasn't able to provide us with all the information we wanted to use for integrations. But luckily, we had a shadow copy of its database with only a 1 or 2 second time difference. So we used direct SQL statements to extract information. That's not really the way you want to work with a system like that. So we're still trying and seeing if we can improve on that, but in the end, it helped us get everything we wanted into TimeEdit. So there's hardly any information we manually enter in TimeEdit except for the reservations, of course, but teachers come from a system, courses come from a different system, the course events we use come from a different system, so everything is integrated in our setup. Any other questions so far, John?
Yes, there's another question. When you first implement TimeEdit, did you have any backup plan with the legacy software?
I had a very nice discussion with the steering committee about it, because we were so unhappy with the legacy software that there was no backup plan, because we just didn't want to use it anymore. So our backup plan was, if we can't fix integrations in time, we'll just manually enter all data in TimeEdit and still use TimeEdit. I think it's in my next sheet. Let me go to my next slide and explain a little bit more about it. Because these are our lessons learned, and the devil is in the details. I want to talk about that relating to this question. TimeEdit is not like a system where you have a predefined teacher, predefined course. You can create them all yourselves. TimeEdit offers you building blocks, they call them objects. And when you create an object, you can call it teacher, and the next object you can call it course. And then you can define which fields you want for those objects, and they're available in the API. You can fill them through integrations. It really works nice. But it's also a way of working in which you really have to think about what you need for scheduling in your specific circumstances. And at first we were like, we need a work form and a work form group in our scheduling. So we defined them: course, work form group. And then when we started scheduling, we said, well, a work form group is always relating to a work form. So why select it manually? That's just extra clicking. We don't need that. We need to remove the work form and just have a course and a work form group, and that's much easier. But in the way TimeEdit is set up, that meant we had to kind of redo stuff. So we did. So we had the first iteration and then a second iteration, which was way better. And during this time, we learned the application better and better and better. And then we said, okay, but is this also possible? And that we had some great ideas. And TimeEdit said, yeah, you can do that, but then we have to do it all over again. And we made the third iteration. And now it's looking really, really, really good. And we're really happy with it. And we even managed to schedule 2 scenarios at the same time. So we had a non-1.5 meter distance scenario and a 1.5 distance meter scenario in the new system, all at the same time. So yeah, the devil is in the details. And our backup plan was also, if we can't do this third iteration, we'll do the second iteration. That also will help us schedule, but it's just not as good as what we want. But in the end, we fixed the third iteration in time to work with it. And since this question jumped us into the lessons learned, this was one of the lessons learned. Another lesson learned was schedulers for some reason want a clear schedule from the project manager. This is the first time in 20 years that they asked me for even more detailed planning that I was used to make myself. Usually my project team say, why are you making such detailed plans? And then I say, I like that as a project manager, I need to have such plans. And this time they told me, where are the details in your plan? We want to know what we need to be doing next week. So I really learned that sometimes I even have to put in more details in my own project plan. And one of the lessons learned that we basically learned after this sheet was created, so I'm going to add it now only verbally, is in our previous system that I already mentioned, it was using a database for each specific year. And we've been using the system for many, many years over. So we got used to assigning years to our data. So also in our student information system, a course is related to a year. And then if the course is reused in the next year, it's basically a new object with the same name, but with a different year. And since we did lots of integrations, we are having courses with years as objects in TimeEdit. But TimeEdit can easily use separate years in one database. That's no problem. You can schedule like 30 years ahead if you want to. So it's also good to think about how you want to use your data if you have the ability to use it for separate years in a row. And that's some optimization. We are now looking into removing the year from the IDs in our information and seeing if we can work without it, because TimeEdit has this really, really great feature called rollover. You can just copy your schedule from the previous year to the next and say we need to shift it a few days because the first Monday of the year is 3 days later than in the previous year. So just copy this 368 days ahead. And that really makes scheduling even more easy. It's already easy with TimeEdit, but if you copy a schedule, it's even better. In our case, we can't copy it because then it's going to say, hey, this is an event from the previous year and you can't schedule it in this year. So that's something we learned and we want to change. And you could call it the fourth iteration of our setup. But since we're already in production, we need to zoom into how to fix that. Another lesson is that people who help us that's really nice. So TimeEdit is a great help. The local partners are a great help. The independent advisor was a great help. Even our purchasing team, I really need to say it, our purchasing team was also a great help. So in a complex project like this, make sure you accept all help you can have. This was my final slide. So I guess I have one more that says any more questions, but I really like to end it with have fun even while working from home, because having fun is also very important. I like to laugh each and every day and have some fun while I work. Well, John, I'm giving control back to you.
Yeah, no, I still have control, but I also have some questions, some additional questions. I think that's the next slide or not? Oh, okay. This was a slide.
Oh, I had even more slides.
Yeah, you can continue actually.
Yeah, and I think this is the one you wanted me to talk about, Robert-Jan. So which goals did we realize? We have this Technical University Strategy 2030, in which we want to offer our students more and more personal schedules, and we want to grow in the number of students. And of course, cost being cost, we don't want to grow in the number of schedulers. So basically we said with the same number of schedulers, we want to make a more complex schedule for more students. And that goal is really realized. I already told you we made a double scenario in TimeEdit. And the first time you use a new system always takes up a little bit of extra time. But we still made this schedule in the same time we were used to with the old system. So being a new system and doing double work, we still fit it in the same time that we needed for the old system. So that goal really realized. We now have a stable system, not one that's dropping out of us once each month. And cost of scheduling are a little bit lower than they were before. And some goals we still need to check upon in a later stage is we want to reduce the workload for lecturers and educational support. Corona isn't really helping with that. We want to have better usage of educational rooms. Once more, keeping 1.5 meters distance isn't really helping with that. And higher schedule satisfaction from our lecturers and students. We didn't do any zero meeting measurement, but we do want to check on it in a later stage. I think this was the last sheet, so then we can zoom into those questions. And you still have a quiz to do, right?
Okay, there's a few more questions. So concerning the implementation, did it involve major changes in terms of processes in order to make the new system to be implemented?
Like I said, we said that the big process changes, we wanted to do them later on. We're into that right now. So we implemented TimeEdit with as little changes as possible. For example, in our university, it's normal that we do decentralized scheduling, but centralized room allocation. So in our process, it's normal to not assign a room while scheduling, and then the central room coordinator assigns those rooms. That process was just very implementable in TimeEdit. But the way TimeEdit works, we might want to change that and just allow decentralized schedulers to pick up on a set of rooms that they are allowed to use, because basically in the end they get the same rooms each year anyway. So they could do that themselves. So an improvement like that, we postponed it. We just did our way of working. But hey, having the two scenarios in the same time, that's definitely a process improvement that was required due to the pandemic. So those process improvements that TimeEdit had to offer that we could really simply pick up on, we did. And the bigger ones, we said we're going to do these later, or implementing TE exam is part of an optimization. And so that's what we're working on right now. But basically, we did the same process as we had as an implementation with a few updates.
Good. And I think one more question. How did you manage the expectations from the various stakeholders with these changes?
I had a really nice steering committee with stakeholders present in there. So that was already in place when I started the project. And I just did some really good ways of informing them. I asked them when they wanted to be informed, at what decisions they wanted to be informed about. So that already helped. And we have a team of educational student affairs managers within each faculty. And they are organized in a meeting they call the MESA meeting, Managers of Educational Student Affairs. And I visited that meeting many times over to just explain where we stand, what's going to change, what's going to remain the same. When we need to involve teachers, that wasn't required at the start of the project because we kept the same publication tool. But now if we want to change the publication tool, we're going to involve some teachers if they have them available for me for the project. So that's a way of lots of communication for the stakeholders.
Okay, thank you. There's one more question, but there's somebody asking, can we see some of the features? And if you let yourself know who you are, then we will get in contact with you and show you all the features you would like to see. Good. So that were all the questions and answers. So we have a last bit just before we finish off. There's a little competition. So we will send out 3 Christmas t-shirts and with so-called TimeEdit art. So it's possible for us to with the timetabling system, because we have different colors in the system, to make even a Christmas tree. And we have printed that on our on some t-shirts or sweaters, if you like. The people who can answer the following question, and the ones, if you put your answer in the chat, then as a personal, do that as a personal answer, and so not everybody can see your answer. The first 3 will win the sweater or t-shirt. So in Scandinavia, it's very customary during the Christmas to have a large buffet with a particular fish. And we are wondering what particular fish is that? Well, to help you, is it cod, salmon, or herring?
Cinnamon bun. Yeah, I always love a good cinnamon bun, and we are crazy about cinnamon buns. We do eat a lot of cinnamon buns.
Yes, if I'm in Sweden, I am definitely having at least 1 cinnamon bun, but probably more a day.
Yeah. So I see that we have at least 1 right answer here coming into the Q&A section. Any other guesses if this is cod, salmon, or herring? I can tell you that you eat this in 2 different variants. It's either clear or a creamy variant of this. Myself, Robert, are you a fan of this?
Yeah, I'm very big fan, but I am the fan of the mustard version.
Gotcha. It's a good one. It's a good one. And Trevor, have you ever had this?
No, I'm looking
forward to it.
You know the
answer, Trevor?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I would just choose the fish that I like the most. That's me.
I
don't care about the rest.
I think that we can break it now. So Trevor, if you would have a guess here, what would that be?
I'll just choose my favorite, salmon.
Yeah, salmon is good.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether it's the right answer or not.
Yeah, no, the right answer is actually herring. So you have this herring buffet. We basically in Scandinavia, you serve it 2 times a year. It's either it's on Christmas, and then it's also when we celebrate midsummer. Then you have the big herring buffets.
Nice.
So that is the right answer. I know that we got a couple of right answers here in the chats and the Q&A. So we'll reach out to you and send you this very exclusive TimeEdit sweater.
Absolutely. Then So we have a winner here, definitely. So Yuan Lee is one of the winners. And
the only thing, Johan, is that I guess sweaters are not the most prized in Asia, right? It's hot and humid here, guys.
We can make it a t-shirt. We can make it.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Good. Well, many thanks, Bert, of course, for your presentation. It was very insightful. I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation and that it gave you a lot of information for you to possibly also make a further step. If you want more information or questions or answers, please let us know. And yeah, we will send the slides to you. And if you have other questions, then let us know, of course. Trevor, this is finally your moment.
Oh no, just a quick shout out. I think one of the things that we're realizing is that timetabling, even in Southeast Asia, is becoming more complex with COVID, and then the need for safe distancing and all these kind of things. What we're organizing is a training seminar for timetablers. It's not system related, but it's really if you're a timetabler or if you have timetablers, you know, this is a really good educational kind of seminar where we actually go through the basics of timetabling. How would you schedule something that would make sense and, you know, in such a complicated environment? Yeah, so that's what we're having in January. We'll be sending out the dates. And yeah, I think we're going to be having also some upcoming webinars in February and March, where we're continuing our educational series on what's happening with TimeEdit also as well. Yeah, thanks so much, Robert Jan. Yep.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. I think we are 1 minute over. So we wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from the team, TimeEdit and Edita. And I thank you all for joining today's webinar. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Final
Thank
remark
you.
from me, Robert Jan.
Yeah.
One final remark. If any of the participants of the webinar come up with a question after we end this webinar, feel free to send it to Robert Jan. Robert Jan has my contact address. He can send it over to me, and I'll be gladly to answer your questions afterwards if it pops up after everything's finished.
Lovely. Thank you so much for the offer. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Bert. Really appreciate it.